Hi everyone, in this podcast I sat down with Hannah Mills. She's an amazing athlete, but she's also an amazing human. We spoke about her first introduction to sailing and her rise through the ranks to become the most successful British female sailor of all time. She also has been a trailblazer for women in sailing, and it was just an awesome chat about her journey. So dive in and have a listen. Welcome back to One on One. I'm Lisa Darmanin, and today I'm joined by Emirates Great Britain sailor Hannah Mills. We are actually here just before the press conference, so there's a little bit of noise going on, so just excuse us. But welcome, Hannah, and thanks for your time.
Thanks, Liz. Good to be here.
Now, I wanted to start with taking everyone back to when you were a young girl and you first started sailing. Maybe just describe what was that like? Where did you grow up, and when did you first get on the water?
So I grew up in Cardiff in Wales, and I first got on the water actually down in Cornwall, which is the southwest coast of England, where we used to go every year on holiday. I was 7 years old when I had my first go. I had two older brothers that had done a sailing course, and I was like, I want to go. And so I had a little taste of that year, but I wasn't old enough, you had to be 8. And then the following year was just desperate to go. So mum and dad caved and let me go on the sailing course, and I just fell in love. I think like a lot of sailors, that sense of freedom at 8 years old, of steering a boat, of being out on the ocean, like it was just insane. So went back to Cardiff and found this tiny little reservoir with the most amazing little shacks with loads of boats and stuff, and just a great community of people loving the sport, and got stuck into that all summer, and then finally realized you could race, and that was me, totally hooked.
And you did such a good job from such a young age. You rose through the ranks really quickly, won the national championships, I think. It was the first girl to do so, and then went on to the Optimus World Championships and had the best result from a UK sailor as well. So that's like been pretty incredible at such a young age. Were you kind of super competitive, or you just loved it and just loved racing?
Both, I think. Yeah, I was super competitive. I think I love the fact girls and boys race together in the Opti class. I just never saw barriers there at a young age, which was great, and always pushed myself to want to win. And yeah, I think it was both, just super competitive, but loved it. I had such a good time. Like a lot of my good friends now are the kids I've grown up sailing Oppies with. It's amazing.
I think what you touched on, like, what is so incredible when you're young and you get to, doesn't matter your age or your gender, you're kind of all out there racing together. And I think that's something that's so cool now we're seeing in the professional sailing world, which is when you were a young girl as well, that probably wasn't really a thing. But I did read that somebody that you know very well now, Sir Ben Ainsley, came and spoke to you guys when you were a young girl, and that was when you realised that sailing was in the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my family weren't sailors. And I remember watching the Olympics at the age of 8 and didn't see sailing on the TV at that point, but just was like, I want to go to the Olympics. I didn't care what sport. I was like, that is amazing. And then it just started sailing, and I was 11, I think, when Ben had come back from the Atlanta Games with his silver medal, and came and spoke at an Oppie event, did a Q&A. And I was like, hang on, sailing's in the Olympics? That is the moment I was like, that's what I want to do.
That's pretty amazing. And then I guess, so from the Opti, obviously you heard of Ben, and there was like British sailing is also super successful. It isn't just Ben, obviously. And then what was the next step for you to kind of then go on your Olympic journey?
I think what was really powerful for me, especially coming from a non-sailing family who wouldn't necessarily know how to get there, was in the UK there's a really clear pathway of what you need to do almost. And so from a really young age, I was always looking at the results and like where I was coming and what I needed to do next to kind of get to the next level of squads or opportunity or whatever it was. So it was always really clear in my head, performance-wise, what I needed to do, and kind of just managed to stick to that pathway and work my way up onto the development Olympic program and then the Olympics itself.
When you stepped into the 470, you teamed up with Saskia Clark. You guys went on to do 2 Olympic Games together. What was that relationship like?
It was amazing. Yeah, Sass and I had such a fun relationship. Sass was a bit older than me. She'd done the Beijing Olympics. She was really experienced. She was one of the best crews in the world at that point. And so for me to get that chance to sail with her as kind of a freshie, I guess, a newcomer, it was like a dream ticket. So jumped at the chance, and from the off, to be honest, we just clicked and we had such a good time. We pushed each other incredibly hard, obviously both very competitive to get the best from ourselves, from our team. I had the difficult conversations that you always have to have on the road to kind of success, but ultimately managed to keep the fun and keep the relationship as good as anyone, I think.
Now, back in 2016, you did a get to know with you and Sass, and you had to write down answers, and you guys nailed it. But there was one that you said who would play you in a movie. Do you remember who that was?
Emma Watson.
Yeah, that's right. Is that still the case?
I'd love to think so.
Yeah, wouldn't that be amazing? Well, onto your, Olympic journey. You touched on that you did that with Saskia. You had a home Olympics in London 2012, which was, amazing to be able to do that. But also, I imagine a lot of pressure as well.
Tons, yeah. But to be honest, for us, again, it comes back to our relationship. And I guess you always choose how you want to approach an Olympics. And for us, it was like, firstly, how lucky are we? We get to go to home games. It was my first Olympics. Sass had loads of lessons from Beijing that she brought to our team. But we kind of just took it as, this is incredible. No matter what, we've won because we've got home games. We went to the opening ceremony. We kind of just embraced the circus that was the London Olympics. And I think for us, that just worked really well to kind of ratchet down the pressure a little bit and just take everything for what it was, enjoying being part of Team GB and meeting all the other athletes, so all of the things that comes with a games. And so, yeah, we just enjoyed every second of that Olympics.
You got second, which you were pretty close to be able to win gold. What was that moment like? I think, I've been there myself when you're so close to achieving your dream and you kind of get silver and you're like, still an Olympic medal, but it's not quite what I wanted.
Yeah, that was probably the bit I didn't enjoy, actually. Yeah, we'd had an amazing week battling out with an amazing Kiwi team that we'd had some good battles with before the Olympics as well. And so, we went into the medal race joint on points and neither of us could lose second. So it was kind of a who beats who and just didn't go our way. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, as always with our sport and with a lot of sports, I think. And yeah, it was actually really tough. Yeah, you never know if you'll go to another Olympics. You never know if you'll be anywhere near a position to have another go at trying to win a medal, let alone a gold medal. So you just feel that sense of, that could be it. I might never get a shot again. And so for us, that was really hard to kind of process and to decide whether you want to go again and actually put it all on the line again and go through those emotional roller coaster that is an Olympics.
It's funny because a lot of people see, that week on the screen, but what they don't see is all that hard work leading up to it. You did end up teaming up with Sass again and going to Rio and winning gold with her. I guess, was that just even sweeter because you kind of came back and were able to finally get that?
Yeah, I mean, the sense of relief we felt in Rio after managing to get the gold, after obviously getting the silver in London and just that sense of disappointment and loss almost, which sounds maybe a bit dramatic, but that's kind of how it feels at the time. Was massive. And you just never know. If we'd won in London, Sass might have retired. We might have never done the Rio Olympics together. Might have never. So you just never know. So yeah, 100%. It's all part of the journey, and you definitely learn more from the things that don't go quite to plan than the things that do. And so the lessons we took from London are still with me now in my racing and my career.
You are so successful on the sail, and I see at this stage you've done so well at the youth level. You've won a silver and gold, and then you go back and you back it up again with a new younger crew, Elodie, and you win gold in Tokyo, which was a completely strange Olympics as well. And it was actually quite stressful for you as well. I remember watching you actually come off the water. What was that defense of the gold like?
Yeah, the defense is harder than the first time, I think, because again, it is just about the choice of putting your ego on the line to do it again and put yourself through that, and knowing that there's a very high probability because of our sport and the conditions and everyone being great and it's the Olympics, it might not happen. You might go there and not achieve what you want to, and especially with new teammate Ailey, who'd never done an Olympics before, but actually we kind of swapped roles in terms of, like, I was the Sass now and she was the me, and she brought so much energy to that campaign and so much just freshness and motivation for me, that I think that massively helped my performance as well. So it was an amazing partnership, an amazing journey with Ailey, especially through obviously COVID and the Olympics being delayed in Tokyo. We were very fortunate in Tokyo that I got asked for the honour to carry the flag for Team GB, and I said, yeah, I'll do it, but as long as Ailey gets to come too, because it was her first Olympics. She'd never done an opening ceremony, so we did that together. So again, we just embraced what we could and enjoyed every bit of that Olympics. And yeah, the defense of the gold was incredibly tough, and I definitely look back on all 3 of my Olympic Games, and that's the performance where I feel I achieved my best performance to do that.
That's a pretty incredible way to stop such a successful Olympic career. At that time, during Tokyo, SailGP was up and running. The women's program was just starting. What was your thought on Emirates Great Britain at that time? Was that something that you definitely wanted to step into, or you were kind of seeing how it was playing out?
Yeah, so the sort of trial process, I guess, for the women's pathway program at that point, or performance program now, had started. And so I'd done a stint in Bermuda with the British team, and that was pretty unbelievable. And then they were carrying on the trials, and then I got a message actually from Ben the night before I started racing in Tokyo to say, do you want to join the team? And he said afterwards it's because he didn't want to feel opportunistic in waiting till I'd hopefully won and then asking. But I just messaged back saying, I'll get back to you.
Perfect. You're like, I'm just a bit busy this week.
Yeah, I got stuff on. I'll get back to you
If
later.
you don't know, the Olympics are happening.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously I was over the moon. Like, SailGP for me was, you know, just the most amazing career move in terms of the sailing, obviously, and trying to push women's sailing into kind of the next sphere outside of the Olympics, but also all the impact, sustainability, purpose that it stood for, and all the initiatives they do. That's kind of where I'd envisaged my career going, like sport and sustainability. So it was sort of the perfect job opportunity for me.
You've been an amazing trailblazer in both spaces, with the sustainability and athletes speaking up, but also from a women's perspective. But one thing, you know, that I think has been pretty incredible is that you've actually gone away and had a baby and also come back. You've got beautiful Sienna that you travel with, you also travel without. How difficult, rewarding, challenging was that to be able to be at the pinnacle of sport and then have to step away just because you're a woman and you need to carry a baby?
Yeah, I was definitely a bit annoyed about that. I was like, wish you could do it, Nick. Yeah, it's really tough. It is really tough because you as an athlete, you know, your career is limited in terms of age and physicality and all of those things. And so it does feel like a big decision to step back. But ultimately, you know, we really wanted to try and have a baby, and we were very fortunate to have Sienna and take a break. And also, I look back and I'm just so privileged at how SailGP and our Emirates GBR team sort of handled it, I guess. As the first female in SailGP to go away and do that, I hope that our team could set a really good standard for how the teams embrace it. And I think hopefully it looks like that has been embraced for other females and some of the male athletes obviously having babies as well. So it's a really good culture, I think, around athletes in SailGP doing that and coming back and proving that it's possible, and with the right support and the right frameworks, it can be done, and actually it can be a really positive addition. So yeah, I look back at that as one of my sort of prouder moments.
Yeah, it's incredible. And to come back and also still be so successful with a team, with Emirates Great Britain. Obviously, you made the final 2 years ago, I think it is now, and, you know, haven't quite got the win yet, but you guys are on such an upward trajectory. You're doing really well. You're looking on track. How do you feel like the season as a whole is sort of been shaping up? You've got a new driver as well.
Oh, it's been an amazing SailGP season. Obviously, Dylan Fletcher coming in and driving for us at the start of this year. I've been very fortunate in SailGP to get to sail with like 3 of the best male sailors out there, you know, with Ben obviously, and then Giles, and now Dylan. And so learned so much from all of them, different things from all of them. But yeah, it's been amazing sailing with Dylan. We just really click on the water in terms of how we think about things, our communication styles. You know, we've both been coached by the same coach through some of our Olympic stuff, so we have quite a similar ethos. So that's all really helped. And as a team, I just feel like we're in a really strong place. The whole team is working really well together. We've had, you know, a couple of tough moments this season, like all the teams go through, and it's always how you bounce back and how quickly you can bounce back. And yeah, we've learned tons from those moments, and we'll see. It's going to be tight. We know that there's 4 incredible teams at the top of the leaderboard with a bit of a gap to the 5th team. So it feels like a 4-way battle, but anything can happen. So we're kind of taking it boring, but one event at a time at the moment. And then at some point in the last couple of events, I think it will really flick to, okay, who do we really need to beat now?
I guess for you, what would it mean just getting in the grand final, but then obviously the hope is to win the Rolex SailGP Championship?
Yeah, it'd be mega. Obviously getting to the grand final is incredibly tough in itself. So to do that is a huge win, but then you're literally everything on the line for a 12-minute race in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, it's all about preparation, as we always say, but there's always jeopardy. And so you've got to have the most pragmatic approach that we will do everything we can. We'll try and make as few mistakes as possible. And if we end up on top, then we've been the best team on the day.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting. I know I've got to let you go, but I think you've done incredible things as an athlete. You've done incredible things as a female sailor, and a really inspiration. We're all very grateful to have you leading the charge. So thanks so much for having a chat.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you so much for tuning in to One on One. I will be back next time with another SailGP athlete.